One.
Good morning. This is Professor Anderson with a little bit of feedback for your rough draft of writing assignment number 4. So I'm going to share with you that I have the PDF for the report with the components listed, pulled up, plus the sample papers for Evening Shade and Lemoore, and I'll be referring to them throughout your paper. The first thing I like to do is comb through and make sure we have all the nuts and bolts, all the big component parts, and you do. You have a very detailed rough draft. Kudos to you and way to go. So I'm really combing through here because you have all of these components and they're in the correct order and they include the correct type of information. I'm going to skip the first part of your feedback because the first part is nuts and bolts. Do you have everything, all the components? You do. And I'm going straight to the nitty gritty, what I call the second comb through, and looking for syntax, grammar, and things like that. So if I take a look at your letter to a decision maker, I want to show you this is the Evening Shades. Do you see just the size of this? And this is the Lemoore report. Look at the size. Very direct to the point. Let's take a look at yours. It's a little too detailed. I recommend changing this to avoiding the wordiness, I guess, is the most basic way to say that. So what I recommend doing is take a look at all of your prepositional phrases. And if you just highlight in your, even in your rough draft, just cross through your prepositional phrases and then read your paper and see which ones you are required and which ones are just extra information that you could eliminate. For example, I would say, enclosed, please find the report improving lawn maintenance through participation improving lawn maintenance participation through awareness and enforcement, please. Or period, or the result of the research you authorized earlier this month. The report assesses the Sun Meadow community's residents' understanding and participation in lawn maintenance issues. It also offers recommendations to implement a more thorough policy. Done. That would be your second paragraph. And then finally, thank you in advance for your time and consideration. This portion of that letter to a decision maker, of course you hope that they implement it because this is a topic that irritates you, that you are very passionate about. Any research-based report, someone has invested a lot of time and energy. But the idea that you hope that they use your strategy is what we call suggestive or inflammatory language. You just want to avoid that. Instead, simply say, thank you for your time. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration. And then you're done. So again, you will see here, thank you for your time reading this report. Thank you for your time. I hope it's helpful. And done. I really recommend just avoiding that whole hope strategy because of course you hope. And by including that, you're being somewhat redundant because you wouldn't have put the effort into writing the paper if you didn't hope that they would implement the strategies. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is called the title page. Yes, your table of contents. And let's move down, scroll through here. Okay. All right, so here's what I recommend on your executive summary. Remember, you have all of the components, you have all the nuts and bolts. What I'm doing is going through and doing a fine comb of your report, really looking at grammar, syntax, and usage. And what I noted throughout your paper is that you are focusing on what's not being done. I would recommend that you shift to what is being done. So remember this week, the discussion topic and the whole process of writing that bad news memo. In order to give feedback, in order to offer suggestions, you need to be, I don't know, it's kind of a fine, tricky line. It's almost a little too PC, a little too politically correct sometimes for me. That you need to be able to focus on the positive things that are happening, encourage what's going on. So perhaps better to say Sun Meadows subdivision utilizes the resources of a property management company. The maintenance, the standards for the lawn maintenance standards for the HOA or for the homeowners association are enforced by the property management company to aid in neighborhood pleasantries, blah, 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 blah. So give like a little bit of a summary of here's what we're talking about. This is the division. We're talking about the property management company. And then say However, recently, or it's, I'm not sure how to quite say it. Basically, when I say it's come to light that many homeowners are not in compliance. So instead of saying right from the beginning, the property management company is not doing its job, again, say who is involved, what the process is, what the problem is, and then here's the problem. The problem is we have some issues with non-compliance of the law. So then say research shows non-compliance with HOA detracts from home value, lends to increased what's that called? Increased diseases, and is unattractive. And I don't know how else you want to say it. Those three areas from your synthesis of literature review, and then say, and a questionnaire was, a survey of local residents supports these three research-based findings. This report recommends, in order to rectify this situation, this report recommends, and then in your recommendations, you give a pretty good detail. I recommend that you boil those details down, give them labels. You don't need to necessarily justify it here. You just want to give an understanding of what's included in the report, and you want to pique the interest of the recommendations. So, bullet point number 1: increase communication through use of community newsletter. 2, create or proactive approach. Create lawn maintenance brochures. Create a graphic to show lawn maintenance standards. Enforce and assess fines for noncompliance. Or actually, this should go first. Clarify guidelines of HOA, and then enforce and assess fines for noncompliance. What you want to do here is make sure that you use what's called parallel structure. So right now you have increasing, proactive, aggressive, clarify, all different kinds of parts of speech. You want to make sure that each of these bullet points follows the same formula in terms of they all begin with a verb, or they all begin with an adverb, or they all begin, so that the sentence structure or the clause structure or the phrase structure, whichever one you choose to use, is synonymous. So that is what's called parallel structure. We talked about that briefly. So, all right, here we go. That's what I need you to do, is cross out your prepositional phrases and see what you can avoid and what you can maintain. So what I find above all is your sentence structure is really long. And while you are very thorough, I'm not saying that you're not thorough. Your sentence structure detracts from the impact of what you're trying to say. So instead, inadequate lawn care has led to numerous problems. These, so you're telling me three things. There's inadequate lawn care, negligence of the people who live in the community, avoidance of the HOA covenants, not being enforced by the property management. There are like 5 ideas in that statement. The overall thing is that inadequate lawn care in the neighborhood, in the Sunny Meadows or Sunny Valley neighborhood, has led to multiple problems, or, over the years, blah, blah, blah. You want to concentrate, make sure that your paragraph structure and your sentence structure focuses on one idea and fleshes that out. Because what happens if you have a sentence that has too many ideas in it, and the paragraph that has too many ideas in it, instead of having thorough statements, you have kind of a watered down understanding of the whole, because you have too much information in one and you can't really elaborate it. I'm going to have to do a second screencast for you also, so look for 2 of them in your feedback.